Sarah was a ray of sunshine, even when the clouds gathered around her. She was a single mom, and her little boy, Leo, was the light of her life. Every morning, she'd drop him off at daycare with a big hug and a promise to be back soon. Then, she'd head to her office job, ready to tackle spreadsheets and answer phones. Sarah worked very hard, always on time, always doing her best. She believed in doing things right and giving her all. But not everyone saw her kindness. Some of her coworkers were not very nice. They would look at her with cold eyes or whisper behind her back. Sarah often felt their unfriendly stares, like tiny pinpricks on her skin. She didn't understand why they acted this way. She always tried to be friendly and helpful. Still, their unkindness made her feel like an outsider, even though she was a valuable part of the team. She just wanted to do her job well and make a good life for Leo. The unkindness Sarah felt from her coworkers wasn't just a quiet feeling. It often turned into open sneers and hurtful whispers. When she walked by, she'd hear hushed voices, sometimes catching snippets like, "Another late night, probably no babysitter again," or "Can't believe she manages to get by." They made jokes about her always being tired or having to leave exactly on time to pick up Leo. It was clear they were talking about her being a single mom, as if it were a bad thing. These cruel words and snickers stung Sarah's heart. She would try to put on a brave face, but inside, a knot of sadness would tighten. She knew she was doing her best for Leo, working hard to give him everything he needed. Why did they have to make it harder? Sometimes, she would eat her lunch alone in the break room, trying to block out the giggles and whispers coming from the other side of the room. Their constant teasing made her feel small and unwanted, even though she tried her hardest to shine brightly. Even though the unkind words hurt, Sarah was a strong woman. She knew she couldn't let their mean behavior stop her from doing what she needed to do. So, she decided to put all her energy into her work. When she sat at her desk, she would try to make her mind a quiet place, focusing only on the tasks in front of her. She would dive into reports, answer emails quickly, and make sure every detail was perfect. Sarah believed that if she just kept working hard, her efforts would speak for themselves. She hoped that her dedication would show everyone that she was a valuable employee, no matter her personal life. She aimed to be the best at her job, turning in flawless projects and always being ready to help. She saw her work as a shield against the negativity, a way to prove her worth not just to her coworkers, but to herself and, most importantly, to Leo. Every completed task was a small victory against the whispers, a quiet triumph for her and her little boy. Sarah continued to excel, her work shining brightly despite the shadows cast by her coworkers. She kept her head down, her focus sharp, and her heart brave. Then came the day of the big company meeting. These meetings were usually a bit boring, filled with numbers and plans, but this one felt different. There was a buzz in the air, a sense of something important about to happen. Everyone was told to gather in the large conference room, a place usually reserved for very special events. As Sarah walked in, she saw him. At the front of the room, standing tall and important, was Mr. Henderson, the CEO of the entire company. He was a man rarely seen by most employees, a powerful figure who oversaw everything. His presence made the room feel smaller, and a hush fell over the chattering crowd. Sarah felt a mix of nerves and a little excitement, wondering what big news he would share. She found a seat in the back, ready to listen, hoping that for once, her coworkers would be too busy paying attention to notice her. The meeting began with Mr. Henderson speaking about the company's future, his voice calm and strong. Sarah listened carefully, taking notes, just as she always did. But then, something shifted. Mr. Henderson paused his speech and looked around the room. His eyes, sharp and seeing, swept across the faces of the employees. As his gaze moved, he noticed a small group of people near the front. They were giggling and glancing back towards Sarah, making small, rude gestures. Mr. Henderson had a keen sense for the atmosphere in a room, and he quickly picked up on the mean energy aimed at Sarah. He saw Sarah, sitting quietly in the back, her head slightly bowed, trying to become invisible. He noticed the way she flinched a little when the laughter from the group grew louder. It was clear to him that this wasn't just a random bit of chatter. It was targeted and unkind. A frown creased his brow. He had heard whispers before about some employees being treated poorly, but seeing it firsthand, especially towards someone as diligent as Sarah, made him feel a growing anger. The anger Mr. Henderson felt simmered beneath his calm exterior. He cleared his throat, a sound that cut through the low hum of the room. The playful giggles from the group of coworkers instantly died down. All eyes turned back to him, expecting him to continue his business presentation. But Mr. Henderson had something else on his mind, something far more pressing than sales figures or quarterly reports. He walked to the very center of the stage, his gaze sweeping over every single person in the room. His expression was serious, almost stern. The atmosphere in the room changed from one of polite attention to one of nervous quiet. People shifted in their seats, sensing that the meeting was about to take an unexpected turn. Mr. Henderson took a deep breath, and his voice, which had been discussing company goals moments before, now held a new, firm tone. He was about to say something that would shock everyone, something that would change the way they saw their coworker, Sarah, and perhaps even themselves. Mr. Henderson stood tall, his eyes serious as they scanned the silent room. He took another breath, then his voice boomed, filling every corner. "Before we continue with our planned agenda," he began, "I feel it's important to address something. I've noticed a pattern of disrespectful behavior towards one of our employees, Sarah. And frankly, it needs to stop." A ripple of murmurs spread through the crowd. The group of coworkers who had been teasing Sarah earlier now looked uncomfortable, their faces turning a faint shade of red. Sarah herself looked up, surprised and a little scared. She didn't expect to be called out, especially not by the CEO. Then, Mr. Henderson dropped the bombshell. "For those of you who have been making assumptions about Sarah's personal life, or ridiculing her for being a single mother, you are sorely mistaken," he stated, his voice unwavering. He paused for a moment, letting his words sink in, before adding the most shocking part. "The baby you've been whispering about, the one you've been mocking her for, is my son. Sarah is not just a valued employee, she is the mother of my child." A hush, heavier than any before, fell over the conference room. It wasn't just quiet. It was as if all the air had been sucked out, leaving everyone breathless. Jaws dropped. Eyes widened. People stared, not just at Mr. Henderson, but at Sarah, then back at Mr. Henderson, trying to make sense of the unbelievable words they had just heard. A few people even rubbed their ears, as if checking they hadn't imagined it. Sarah herself was frozen in her seat, her face pale with shock. She had not expected this, not in a million years. The suddenness of his announcement, the weight of his words, made her heart pound in her chest. The coworkers who had been giggling moments before now looked utterly stunned, their smiles gone, replaced by looks of pure disbelief and dawning horror. No one spoke. No one moved. The entire room was a tableau of shock, every single person grappling with the monumental secret that had just been laid bare by the most powerful man in the company. The silence was so profound you could almost hear everyone's thoughts racing. The silence stretched, thick and heavy, broken only by the soft hum of the air conditioning. For the coworkers who had spent months, even years, making Sarah's life difficult, the shock quickly turned into a burning shame. Their faces, which moments before had been pale with surprise, now flushed a deep red. They avoided eye contact, staring at their shoes or the ceiling, wishing the floor would open up and swallow them whole. They remembered every snide remark, every whispered joke, every dismissive glance. Each cruel act replayed in their minds, now seen through a new, horrifying lens. They had ridiculed the mother of the CEO's child. Not just any child, but his child. The realization was a heavy weight in their stomachs. They felt foolish, small, and utterly disgraced. The playful mockery they had once shared now tasted like ash in their mouths. A wave of regret washed over them, a bitter understanding of how wrong they had been. They had misjudged Sarah completely, and in doing so, had shown their worst selves to the most powerful person in the company. Breaking the tense silence, Mr. Henderson continued to speak, his voice softer now, but still firm. He looked directly at the employees, especially those who had been so quick to judge. "I understand this comes as a surprise to many of you," he said, "and I owe you an explanation. Sarah and I have had a private relationship for some time now." He explained that their connection had grown slowly, carefully, away from the prying eyes of the office. "When we found out Sarah was pregnant, we decided to keep our relationship and the baby's parentage a secret," he confessed. He looked towards Sarah, offering a small, reassuring smile. We wanted to protect Sarah from gossip and allow our family to grow without the pressures of our professional lives mixing in. I wanted her to be seen for her hard work and talent, not for who she was with." He paused, his gaze sweeping across the room once more. "But the way she has been treated, the disrespect she has faced, makes it clear that secrecy has come at too high a cost for her." Mr. Henderson then looked directly at Sarah, a warmth entering his eyes that hadn't been there moments before. "And Sarah," he said, his voice now filled with deep respect, "I want to publicly say how incredibly proud I am of you. You have faced unfair criticism and loneliness with such grace and strength. You have been a wonderful, loving mother to our son, Leo, and you've done it all while keeping a difficult secret to protect our family." He turned back to the stunned employees. It took immense courage for Sarah to carry this burden alone, allowing gossip and unkind words to swirl around her, all for the sake of our privacy. She handled it with dignity and unwavering resolve, always prioritizing our child's well-being above her own comfort. His words painted a clear picture of Sarah's quiet heroism. He wanted everyone to understand that her strength wasn't just in her work, but in her heart as a mother and her loyalty as his partner. This wasn't just about revealing a secret. It was about honoring the woman who had carried it so bravely. After praising Sarah, Mr. Henderson's expression grew serious once more. He looked around the room, making sure every eye was on him. "Now, let me be very clear about something else," he stated, his voice ringing with authority. "This company prides itself on respect, professionalism, and a supportive environment for all employees. What I have witnessed and what Sarah has endured goes against every single one of those values." He continued, "It doesn't matter who you are, what your role is, or what you think you know about someone else's personal life. Treating another human being with unkindness, spreading gossip, or making them feel small is unacceptable. It will not be tolerated here. This is a workplace, a community, and everyone deserves to feel safe, respected, and valued." His words hung in the air, a stern reminder that the company's culture was not just about profits, but about people. He wanted to make sure that this incident would not only expose a truth, but also change the way everyone interacted from that day forward. Mr. Henderson wasn't finished. His voice, though no longer booming, carried an unmistakable weight of authority that silenced any lingering murmurs. "Let me be absolutely clear," he stated, his gaze fixed on the group of shamefaced employees. "For those of you who have actively participated in making Sarah's work life difficult, for those who have spread rumors or shown outright disrespect, there will be consequences." He didn't yell or raise his voice, but the calm certainty in his tone was far more chilling than any shout. "We will be reviewing every instance of this behavior. Unkindness and bullying have no place in this company, and actions that violate our values will be met with appropriate disciplinary measures." The message was stark and undeniable. Heads hung lower, and a few individuals visibly winced. The threat was not just to their jobs, but to their reputations within the company. Mr. Henderson had drawn a line in the sand, making it clear that he would protect his employees, especially those who had been unfairly targeted. As Mr. Henderson finished speaking, Sarah felt a wave of emotions wash over her. Surprise, relief, and a deep, heartfelt thankfulness filled her. Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes, not of sadness, but of gratitude. For so long, she had carried the weight of the co-workers' unkindness alone, enduring their whispers and jokes in silence. She had felt invisible, unvalued, and often very alone. Now, the most powerful man in the company, the father of her child, had stood up for her in front of everyone. He had not only defended her honor, but had also acknowledged her strength and sacrifice. It was a powerful moment, one she would never forget. She looked at Mr. Henderson, her eyes conveying a silent, profound thank you. His words were like a warm blanket, wrapping her in protection and validation after so much coldness. It felt good to finally be seen, to be understood, and most of all, to be defended. The air in the office truly changed after that meeting. The cold stares and whispered jokes that had followed Sarah for so long simply vanished. Instead, she was met with polite nods, quiet apologies, and even some genuine smiles. The coworkers who had been the worst offenders now seemed to walk on eggshells around her, eager to show their newfound respect. They would hold doors open, offer help with tasks, and even ask about Leo with genuine interest. It wasn't an overnight magical transformation for everyone, but the shift was undeniable. The fear of consequences from Mr. Henderson, combined with the shame of their past behavior, made them rethink their actions. Sarah no longer felt like an outcast. She could walk through the office without bracing herself for unkindness. The quiet dignity she had always carried was now met with the respect it deserved. Her work environment became a place of peace, allowing her to focus even more on her tasks, free from the heavy burden of judgment. With the truth out in the open and the office atmosphere changing for the better, Sarah and Mr. Henderson no longer felt the need to keep their family a secret. Their quiet, private life slowly began to unfold into the light. Mr. Henderson would sometimes meet Sarah after work, openly greeting her at her desk, and they would leave together. On special company events, Sarah would proudly attend as his partner, Leo sometimes joining them for a brief appearance. They started sharing stories about Leo, how he loved playing with blocks, or how he was learning new words every day. What was once a carefully guarded secret became a joyful part of their shared lives. Sarah found a new kind of freedom in this openness. She could talk about her son without fear of judgment, and she could share her life with the man she loved without having to hide. This newfound transparency strengthened their bond, making their family even more real and complete. The big reveal and the changes that followed left a lasting mark on the company. Sarah and Mr. Henderson's story became a powerful lesson, whispered through the hallways and remembered in every team meeting. It taught everyone that you never truly know what someone else is going through or the private battles they might be fighting. It showed them that judging others based on incomplete information or rumors could lead to hurtful mistakes. More than that, it highlighted the importance of kindness and respect in the workplace. People started to think twice before gossiping or making quick judgments. There was a noticeable shift towards a more understanding and supportive atmosphere. The incident served as a powerful reminder that every person deserves to be treated with dignity, no matter their background or personal circumstances. The company learned that true strength comes not just from business success, but from fostering a community where everyone feels valued and safe. In the end, Sarah found a happiness that truly blossomed. The office, once a place of quiet dread, became a supportive community where her hard work was seen and valued. Her coworkers, having learned a tough lesson, treated her with newfound respect. No more whispers, no more cold stares, just friendly greetings and genuine collaboration. At home, her family life with Mr. Henderson and little Leo was filled with joy and openness. The secret that had once been a burden was now a shared history that made their bond stronger. Sarah no longer had to juggle her personal and professional lives in separate, stressful compartments. She could be herself, a loving mother and a dedicated employee, without fear of judgment. She felt truly happy, respected, and content, both in her important role at the company and as a cherished member of her family. Her journey had been tough, but it had led her to a place of peace and fulfillment.